Good morning, everybody. I'm Rita Hickman with Inspire Massage. It's a little bit dark in here, isn't it? Let's try to turn on the light. Hang on. Let's see. There we go. That might help. Perfect. So I'm Rita Hickman, and I'm with Inspire Massage, and I'm out in Northern Illinois. I'm in the Chicagoland area. And we've been talking about soulmates. Good morning, Victoria. We've been talking about soulmates all last week, and then we're going to talk about soulmates again this week. So to kind of do a recap, good morning, Imran. So to kind of do a recap, soulmates are people who come into your life, who get past your defenses, and they challenge you. So good morning, Colette. So soulmates aren't always the romantic, melodramatic, chivalrous sort of relationships that we think they are. Soulmates are people who, for whatever reason, metaphorically or energetically or for whatever reason, they're able to get past our defenses. So soulmates can be children, they can be men, they can be women, they can be jobs, they can be bosses, they can be coworkers. Soulmates are everywhere. And that's what we've been covering for the last week. Now, a lot of times when we meet a soulmate, you get both sides of the coin. You get the phenomenal, amazing bliss, let's say, as well as the really difficult heartbreak and pain from your past. You know, so the mind works by taking all of the experiences that are kind to, oh, good, I'm glad, Colette. Good morning, Ginger. So the mind takes all of the experiences that it considers similar or has similarities to it, and it kind of compartmentalizes it. It puts it in its own little spot. And so when something comes along to open up that closet door, you get all of the amazing things that you dreamed about, and you also get all of the really hard things that you were most scared about. That's what soulmates do. That's their job. Their job is to bring up the things which have been buried, our fantasies, our dreams, our desires. Good morning, Alicia. Soulmates bring up everything that we've hidden, that we've pushed down, and brings it into our conscious mind, into our reality, so that we can start to change it and change how we react to it and change how we respond to the situation. So many times when we meet soulmates, at first blush, at the very beginning, all of the desires and the wishes that we might have had or were imprinted on us from sitcoms or other people or romance novels or stories or movies or whatever, all of that stuff we tend to project on other people. We look at them, and without knowing anything about them except how they feel or that they remind us of something, we tend to have these huge feelings of bliss. Beta endorphins are released. We fall in love with all sorts of things. We fall in love with all sorts of people on a regular basis. And it gives us this wonderful, it takes away our pain, it takes away our depression, it lowers our inflammation. You know, the feeling of love and being in love, as I said, which happens all over the place. It happens with children, it happens with jobs, it happens with men and women. Those feelings of bliss, we almost all get right at that, as I said, right at the beginning of the relationship. All of our fantasies, because we think this is the one. This is the person that will make all of my dreams come true and will complete me. Good morning, John. And so when we meet somebody that touches us in that way, we sit there and we think, this is the way it's going to be forever. This is the way it's supposed to be. I never want to stop feeling this. I never want to end this amazing sensation. Good morning, Julie. This amazing sensation of no pain and happiness and the ability to get along. That's what being in love does. It releases on a chemical level, on a physical level, these amazing painkillers and beta endorphins into our body. Now, when that happens, though, our cells adjust, and they adjust by getting a little downtrodden. When we overwhelm a cell's receptors, they become desensitized. And so after a while, you'll only keep releasing this amazing amount of beta endorphins. You'll need more and more in order to feel good, because the cells adjust to that. They adjust to the reality of, I can't handle the overload of all of these emotions. So you're naturally and normally going to start losing that bliss. You're naturally going to start feeling as if you want that back. But that's not how a soulmate path goes. A soulmate path, you first of all deal with all the amazing, beautiful, phenomenal things, and then comes a little bit of the crash. Because also in that box are all of the hard things, all of the painful heartbreaks from when you were in high school or when you were a kid. So that box is open too, and that's to be dealt with as well. So how do you get the bliss back? How do you get the beta endorphins back? So I talked about how the brain gets, the cells get overwhelmed. Okay, so Ginger has a thing. For some reason, I just thought of the effects of a relationship with a narcissist. Aren't they masters of keeping the emotions flowing? Yes, narcissists are. Narcissists are very good at reading people. And so on the one hand, narcissists can be very interesting relationships to be involved in. If you take the judgmentalism away from narcissism, and you are in a good place, you're doing great coping skills, you feel protected, you've got support, you've got your daily meditation practices. Narcissists can be very, very interesting people to be in relationship with, because they're masters at triggering this and pulling this button and pulling that lever, and keeping us in a state of awareness. Now, the really nice thing about that is because emotions give life depth. They give life meaning and color and purpose. And when you let yourself have all of those emotions, when the floodgates are opened, your life becomes a lot more interesting than it might have been. And especially if you had a boring controlled sort of life, then we tend to look for narcissists and other people who will trigger us, who will make us feel alive. And that's what love, or being in love, tends to do. It makes us feel alive. And then we start to feel numb, and we start to feel dead again when things become too complacent. So how do you get that bliss back, whether you're in relationship with a narcissist or whether you're in relationship with a really good person that you want to spend, the rest of your life with? So you want to have a lot of variety in your life. When you don't overwhelm your cells with emotion chemicals, then they stay fresh and alive. They keep a wide variety. My rule of thumb, and the rule of thumb of one of my favorite mentors, was if you don't know what to do, good morning, Michelle. If you don't know what to do, do the thing you haven't done before. Because life is about gathering experiences and reclaiming parts of ourselves and evolving as a human being. And if we get stuck in a rut, even if it's in a rut of bliss, we'll stop feeling that bliss. We'll stop experiencing that part of ourselves. So variety is what keeps us motivated and moving forward. So soulmates have that wonderful ability, because first of all, it's bliss, and then it's agony, then it's peace and contentment, and then it's fighting again. Good morning, Raquel. And so, and good morning, Miriam. Thanks. So these, if you keep a wide variety of life and experiences and people, then you'll always be able to refeel these feelings of bliss. If you want to get bliss back in your relationship, you have to allow for the variety. You have to allow for all of the ups and downs and learn how to navigate through them. Now, let me tell you, once you've done some work with your soulmate, what happens is on the other side, both of you learn, both of you evolve, and you have wisdom. And the bliss comes back in full force, because you've both grown as people. You've climbed a little bit to the top of the mountain. You've looked at the view. You've worked through some of the hardest, most difficult, painful things that you can imagine. And because you've both learned, that bliss starts to come back. The first few years, let's say the first 5 to 7 years of a relationship, of a soulmate relationship, can be really hard, because they're tumultuous. You feel like you're a teenager again many times, or a kid again, being pulled in lots of different directions. But when you stay with things and you reflect and you gather more resources, so you've got more ability to roll with the tide, to allow yourself to have that wide variety of joy and pain and tears and anger and suffering and bliss. Good morning. Hi, good morning, Michelle. So when you let yourself have that wide variety, the bliss does come back because you start to find a balance. The relationship starts out with these huge swings of bliss and suffering and bliss and suffering. And it evens out and it levels out. You find a new balance. You don't feel the need to have to go in those directions as far anymore. It's like you get sick of it. What happens is you say, you know what? I've had this experience until I'm done with it, and now I'm ready to do something different. If you're with the same soulmate, as I said, that's when a lot of the bliss can come in. Or if you find another soulmate who's at the same level you are, that's when you can experience that bliss as well. So you want to change it up. You want to let yourself have those highs and those lows and just watch the evolution of the relationship, because it does change. If you stay present and you keep adjusting yourself, you keep getting the skills and the tools that you need, the bliss comes back because you start treating each other with a whole different framework. Think of a relationship as almost like you have to go through this big process. Good morning, Sarah. You have to go through this big process of growth, of transformation. And soulmates help you go from girl to woman. They help you make that transition. Good morning, Shelley. So when you've gone through so much of that work, so much of the bringing things up and healing them and working on them, the bliss comes back. Because now you're able to deal with the together times and the apart times. You're more sensitive to each other. You understand each other better. You've been through, you've made the mistakes that you've wanted to make. You've betrayed each other. You've victimized each other. You've, gone to the mat. And now you understand. Now you have a much bigger picture of the world. One of my favorite tarot cards is the Hierophant. And I've got a Native American deck. And it talks about the Hierophant as being a healer. And it's a healer who has had so many life experiences that they understand. Oh, you began a relationship with a motorcycle to get bliss. Good job, Ginger. So, we're here to have a bigger understanding of ourselves and a bigger love for ourselves. The beautiful thing about soulmates is not that it just brings out the good stuff in us, but it also brings out the parts of us we never wanted to see. And when they come up, we get to love them. We get to understand them. And then when we look at somebody else, especially somebody that we care about, we can look at them with understanding too. And that's where the bliss comes from, is because when you widen your perspective, when you get out of your own box of what's true and what's real and what must be, when you get out of that, then you have the ability to feel a healthier form of bliss, a healthier form of happiness, one that isn't dependent on, big chemicals. Now, you still get those big chemicals. You still get those huge highs, and you still get those big lows, because life does that to you. I always said in healing, you don't have to create a false sort of healing experience. Good morning, Deborah. You don't have to go and see a lot of people to force you to heal. Life brings you so many soulmates, and it brings you so many people who will touch you and trigger you and bring things up that you don't have to artificially do it. In fact, you live your life, you let yourself have all the ups and downs that you have, all the joys and all the pains, and then you find people to help you through it. You don't get rid of living life. Soulmates are designed to crack you open so that you can live life to the fullest, so that you go from this small personhood, this small-mindedness. Good morning, Victoria. This small-mindedness, and you're able to open up and connect with all people. So now your bliss isn't coming from someone else. Your bliss is coming because you're looking at the world in a blissful way. And if you've a good soulmate, if you've got a soulmate that has hung out with you and, you know, dealt with the triumphs and the tragedies, then you can have faith in them, that they'll continue to be there, that they have evolved and grown too. And now you've got a true mate. So if you want the bliss, you do need to go through all of the roller coaster adventure that's involved in it. You have to let yourself experience everything. What tends to happen as we get older and things hurt, our knees hurt, our backs hurt, you know, we're depressed, we're inflamed, our stomach doesn't work quite right, our brain isn't quite clear, we can't focus, we get lazy. You know, all those things happen. And we make our life smaller and smaller and smaller. You know, there was a woman that I worked with, and she says, well, I was walking on the treadmill, and when I did this on the treadmill, it hurt. So I stopped doing it, you know, and then she stopped doing another thing and another thing. And her life became very small. Soulmates are there to break us open. They're there to help us feel again, help us feel all the things that we denied. You shouldn't, and you can't, if you want to have the bliss, you really have to allow yourself to go through all the experiences of life, because otherwise, as I said, the body adapts, and the bliss doesn't show up unless you have some crazy, phenomenal, you know, drug-induced, hallucinatory, or, you know, big dramatic thing, you know, or something like 9/11, or Good Morning Sue, or some other sort of big tragedy that or big experience that helps us feel again. Soulmates do it in a small way, in a very gentle way, actually. Emotionally, you'll struggle with it, but if you deal with things on the emotional level, then it doesn't have to come out into the physical level. If you allow yourself to feel the wide variety of things that you feel, good morning, Juanita, then you don't have to manifest things in the actual world. You don't have to steal the car in order to get an adrenaline rush. You just have to feel your feelings to get the adrenaline rush. You just have to live life and roll with all the things that happen, whether they be tears or whether they be laughter. So once you've gone through all the drama of past memories, of past experiences that you never finished processing, then you grow up and you balance it out. You balance it out. You grow up and you find a new way that you want to live, a more mature way. You're welcome, Ginger. A more mature way to live, and you can still have the bliss. You just, you make sure you balance it out so that you can still feel it. So, if you want to find the bliss in your relationship, stick with that personal growth. Stick with the feeling everything and reclaiming parts of yourself and meeting as many different soulmates as you can. Because as you grow and you get bigger, you have more of an ability to feel that bliss. Good morning, Mark. You have a much bigger ability to feel the bliss. And the really cool thing is now you can feel more bliss than you ever felt before, especially with the partner that you're with, because you understand them better. You have a lot more compassion. You have a lot more caring and kindness for them. And now you can look at them through a bigger set of eyes, almost like a godlike set of eyes, where you see all of their difficulties and you see all of their challenges, and you still love them and you still care about them and want to take care of them. And that's the gold ring. You know, that's the beauty and the gold nugget that you're looking for, is that higher level of love and that higher level of bliss. But you've got a lot of stuff you have to clean up first. But trust me, if you do, life just gets better. It's so totally worth it. It's time to go big and not keep going small. So, if you love this and this was helpful, go to inspiremassage.com and sign up for our daily emails and replays and inspirations. And at the end of this week, I'll be doing a soulmate product, so I'm excited about that. So to help women find their soulmates and do the cleaning up that they need to do so that they're equal, so that they can attract the soulmates that they want. So keep an eye out for that. I'll launch it on Friday. And I look forward to seeing you, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.